Hi, welcome to Intuitive Insights. I am your host, Megan McDonough, and I have with me my friend Kelley Kitley. Hi, Kelley.
Hi there.
Kelley and I know each other from a film that I did. God, how many years ago is that now?
It was about 4 years ago.
Was it? Oh, yeah, that's right, because it was 2020.
20.
And we did it in 2021. It was supposed to be 2020, and
Yeah.
then we went to 2021. Um, Kelley is a licensed clinical social worker with over 20 years of experience in the field. She's a sought after national mental health media expert, speaker, and author of an award winning Amazon bestseller, Myself. Kelley owns Serendipitous Psychotherapy and specializes in treating adults with anxiety, depression, relationships. It sounded like treating them with relationships, trauma, and alcohol abuse. She's a wife and mom of 4 teenagers. Hi, Kelley.
Hi. That's crazy.
So Kelley and I met doing film, a short film, which do you still use that short film gray area in your speeches? I know your
I
talks.
do. It ebbs and flows. We made it, 4 years ago? It's on YouTube, and I present a lot to different organizations who treat mental health and alcohol use disorder. So it's good material.
It's gonna be- So, okay, I have lots of questions.
Well, wait, you didn't just work on a film with me. Megan played me in the film.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
This is
So
true.
there's that.
And I do remember one of the comments, like after the first screening, when they were like, "Did you like study her behaviors?" And I was like, "No, I think we just have the same ones. I think we just have the same
For
behavior."
better and for worse.
It's like we kind of just love each other. That's all. Um. Okay, let's start. So I'll ask you my first two questions. Then I have lots of questions for you.
Okay.
First one being, how would you define intuition? How do you define it for yourself, for others, whatever?
Sure. I define intuition as greater knowing that we find within.
Oh, okay. That was
That's it.
that's
Mhm.
it. That was
Mhm.
just like right to it. I like it. Okay, so then how do you use that in your life?
Well, I've had to quiet my internal chatter and anxiety to get space to be able to listen to the intuition. I think oftentimes it was blocked, certainly while I was drinking. And I'd have moments of light and then it would be shut down again when I
Right.
was drinking. But since I've been sober for 12 years, I use it as my compass, so to speak, in terms of guiding me to decision making or parenting or relationships. And I find when I can get quiet, I can hear it, but it's hard for me to get quiet sometimes.
It's hard to take all the jazz hands off and just be like, okay, what do we say?
Just be quiet. Yeah.
What was I going to ask you? Okay, all right, so you wrote your book Myself. So I have a question for you on that. Like what prompted you to write that? And because you were you sober when you started writing it or no?
No, I probably started writing the book 10 years before it was actually published, and had gone through, I had always been a journal writer and had gone through 50 journals and was looking for themes that was throughout the journals. And some of it was about growing up above my parents' bar in
Yeah.
Chicago and just being in the restaurant and bar business. My own mental health struggles with anxiety and depression, as well as sexual assault and sexual abuse as a young girl.
Mm.
And then drinking was certainly a common thread of something
Yeah.
I tried to manage and control my whole life. But really healing through some of my past traumas, the writing was so cathartic and therapeutic for me while I was in therapy. And I started writing the book and couldn't finish it because I wasn't sober yet. And I kept saying, why can't I finish this?
Mm.
And then I got sober, and that was the last part of the book.
Mm. Mm. Um, do you feel like the journaling led you to the sobriety, or was it like, or were you like, this is the only way I'm going to be able to finish this book?
No, it wasn't connected. I
Yeah.
think that writing was always something that was a tool for me that I felt, and in some ways, speaking to God. I mean, I would even journal, Dear God,
Mm.
when I was younger, and recognizing the theme of God, please help me stop drinking. God, please remove this obsession
Mm.
throughout.
Mm.
Um, as young as my early 20s, and I got sober at 35. So it was easy to go through and say, "Oh, you've been trying to quit drinking for a long time." I just didn't know I wanted to give it up completely or how I was going to give it up, but it was something I struggled with most of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh my God, I'm like 3.5 years I haven't drank.
That's huge. Oh
I
my gosh.
know. But I mean, it is and it isn't. Do you know what I mean? Like it is in the, if you think about it, like, oh yeah, that was a big thing. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like in it now, doesn't feel like that. Like it doesn't feel, I don't feel any different. Do you know? Other than I'm just not hating myself as much or hungover.
Well, those are good things.
But anyway, I wanted to talk about the visual I had that helped me. Well, you just being your awesome self, and at that for when I stopped drinking, it was we had just finished this film. It had been in my head a lot. The is this something that I want to keep around? I mean, I have my kids later in life. I don't know. I just kind of felt like I don't want to miss them growing up because I was drunk and don't remember them to be like, why are you so like if I'm hungover, why am I
Mhm,
angry? Or just like
mhm.
why shit on this piece of life that you'd waited so long for?
Yeah.
And then so I was battling that. And then during the pandemic, I had knew of some people and some friends that had passed, some because of alcohol. And, it kind of was like, what's more important? Like I know society puts so much attention on, hey girl, it's so much, like that kind of thing. But
Mhm,
and the social camaraderie of it. But what's I don't know, just it brought to my attention what's more important. And the visual that I had actually going into one of the screenings that we had was, and it's like hits me so much. But I standing or like looking at a body laying on the like 6 feet under with dirt slowly getting tossed down their face. And the person is like looking up at the person throwing the dirt on their face and burying them alive, but immobile. And then looking up at the person who's throwing the dirt and it's them. So
mm,
like me laying at the bottom of the thing and looking up and it's me throwing the dirt on myself.
mhm,
And it was like that was such a powerful image to me,
mhm,
like for me to go, I don't want to bury myself anymore. I don't want to pretend I'm something I'm not. I don't want to fit in.
mhm, mhm.
Like
Sure.
I don't want to dull who I am. And you were very helpful in that and you know, um just being your awesome self. And and you've done that for a lot of people. Shine the light, just by shining your light,
Mhm, mhm.
and then it helps other people find their way.
Thank you.
Um, and part of that for me was intuition. Like I didn't want to bury that part of myself anymore. I didn't want to be um hide how weird I was, like and how woo-woo I was. I was like,
Mhm.
so what? Like, you know what I mean? Like let's
Yeah.
just get down and get weird. And so it was harder for me to be clear and hear that voice that you were speaking of earlier. It's harder for me to hear that voice with other distractions like alcohol or anxiety or whatever the hell,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know? Um, so did you have a similar uh, connection to your intuition prior to, or did it just really start coming up as you got sober? Or like how
Mm,
did
yeah.
you discover that relationship of intuition with yourself?
I mean, I feel like I was born an old soul and
Yeah.
was just born into the world hyper sensitive and aware and was always so curious. I mean, my parents weren't Catholic and I went to a Catholic school just because it was down the street from the bar and
Yeah.
we could walk there.
Yeah.
And I just remember loving like rituals and spirituality and going to church and praying and so much so that I would like ask my parents if they would take me to church on Sunday. And so there was always something bigger. And what I was always craving throughout my life was that connection. But with a lot of things in my life, it was like good Kelley, bad Kelley. And when I was on track, I was connected and had rituals and felt spiritually empowered and connected. And then when I was drinking or working too much or just totally disengaged, I had to do these like really big things to feel connected, like go climb Machu Picchu and see God at the top of the mountain, or run a marathon because that's when I felt really spiritually connected. So it wasn't until I got sober that I was like, I can feel spiritually connected sitting on the porch with my kids, drinking a
Yeah.
cup of coffee. I
Yeah.
didn't have to do these grandiose things to feel like that is really spiritual. So that clarity came for me in a lot of the simple interactions in my life once I
Mhm.
stopped drinking.
So it just like it became like you were able to like the noise, the static
Mhm.
kind of got turned down,
Yeah. Yeah,
Machu
now
Picchu.
it's like
Yeah.
now it doesn't, it's not once a quarter that I am feeling aligned. It's kind of like brushing my teeth, it's
Yeah.
part of a daily practice of getting quiet and listening and being and touching base with what's going on inside rather than looking outward for the validation or affirmation.
Yes. You said it was funny, you said Machu Picchu, and I in my head, I was just picturing that, there's a part in your book where you talk about that, about
Mhm,
Machu Picchu.
mhm.
And by the way, that's, like, definitely on my bucket list, like, Machu Picchu, like,
It's
I
pretty
wa
awesome. Yeah.
but there was something about and I'm getting, like, shown, like, the stars, like, there was something about you looking at the star do you remember what that section was in the book? If you don't, then I
No, I do. I remember, we slept in tents on the trail
Mm.
for 4 days as we were climbing, and it was one of the most peaceful feelings I had felt, and it was so simple.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And then there was a bar along the Inca Trail, and once we got there, we started drinking, and I was like, "Well, where did that
This is
go?"
amazing, let's ruin it.
And seriously, I mean, you couldn't be more dichotomous. But, alcohol is looked at as very celebratory
Yes.
and that was great too. And it was like, we're rewarding ourselves for
Right.
climbing for 4 days. And so
Yes.
we can have beer. And for me, it felt like, and take away everything you just
Right,
gained.
right,
Like,
right, right, totally.
so that's how my whole life felt pretty much with alcohol.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I can see that. Like it's like think I don't know if you had a saying about this or not, but I remember feeling like, you know what? I'm like Technicolor enough. Like I don't need to go neon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's and like drinking just put me into the neon zone. And
Yes.
there was no it was like Technicolor, Technicolor, neon. Like there was like no subtlety of when and you didn't know when you were gonna hit neon.
Hmm.
You were just there and you could tell, not because you knew you were neon, but more so because everyone else was going, oh my God.
Yeah, too much. I'm too much without alcohol, add alcohol, and it's, like, real loud.
It's like
Turn
next
it down.
level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay. Well, then maybe I don't have to be so crazy. Just be a
You can
little.
dilute it a little bit by
Yeah.
removing the substance.
Yeah. You know? What was I going to say? Okay. So, so you're always pretty spiritual,
Mhm.
right? So do you have like a spiritual connection practice now, or is it just like kind of a meditative going internal to discuss with self what's going on?
Well, it's still both. I mean,
Yeah.
I journal still very frequently. It helps clear my mind and helps me feel grounded. I look at a drive I had yesterday to Milwaukee and like had amazing music on. Some of it was like churchy music, and then some was like pink.
Yep.
And it awakens my soul and
Yep.
just, I'm singing and like open road. Like to me, it just feels like a connection, whether it's with myself or other spirits or whatever it might be, it is just a calming effect that happens. I guess that's the
Yeah.
best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Are moments of calm. And that was something I was always looking for. And now I'm like, oh, I don't have to go, 3,000 miles away or 10,000 miles away to feel that. It's right here. I can tap
Yeah.
into that anytime. So,
Yeah.
yeah, lighting a candle, writing, praying, I still like the ritual of some church, even though I don't, prescribe necessarily to any denomination, but like picking and choosing kind of things that I like.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, you just made me think of, so I take, well, next to you, not too far from you, I take the kids to this Buddhist meditation class. I call it temple, but it's not really. It's like it's a class, right? So it's not really religious, but more learning. And one of the things that we talked about one day is that when you kind of peel off the layers and you calm down, or settle in, to yourself, that what's left is that calm that you were talking about. What's left is that tranquil feeling.
Mhm.
And so the assumption is, and that like that is our natural state. And so when we're always trying to find that, we're looking for ways to get back to that, but we have it the whole time. And that feels like the root of all religion. But we went to my in-laws were in town for Easter, and so we went to church.
Mhm.
You know, I was singing my heart out. Like I was for
Mhm.
sure I was gonna not have a voice the next day.
Mhm.
And there were a lot has changed in church. So it would be like, I'd be like, peace be with you. No, we changed the words.
Yeah.
And
Are you talking about a Catholic
yes,
church?
I am.
Yes. Yes, there have been some changes.
I was like, and then I was like, I got this one. And I'd say it, and then I'd be like, half, nope, nope, wrong. My
Totally.
son, and I was like to my son, and he was being very good because he knew he could play iPad after if he was. And so he was like, he's like, oh, thank you, God. I was like, all right, Eddie, let's all take it down a notch. But he was like, he was really doing good. And so he was when I was like, don't worry about it. We're gonna shake hands and then it's gonna be over. So he's like, is this when we shake hands? And I was like, yeah. So I turn around and it's time, and I was like, and peace be with, and everyone's like doing something like this, or I don't know what they're doing with their hands. And I was like, and nope, we're not doing the handshake. No one's doing the handshake now. We're just I don't know what we do, but it was like this whole like I was like, I don't know what to do with my body anymore because we changed things. Um, but point being, the priest was great. And
Mm.
it was I was the first time in forever that I've been to a Catholic church where I really liked the priest. Like the priest was
Yeah.
positive and
Uh-huh.
progressive and empathetic,
Yes. Yes, not
and like,
shaming and
no,
rule following and yes.
because every time I've gone, let's be honest, it's been on Easter. And my grandma used to call it a buffet Catholic.
Oh, yeah,
What would you
cafeteria.
like to have?
Uh-huh,
You know,
uh-huh.
And but I was like, so what? Anyway, so it was packed. So they had to open up like the balcony or whatever. And instead of him saying, where are you guys the rest of the year? You know,
Uh-huh.
he was saying how lovely it is to see you all here and how great it is that we've packed this place. And then gave like a spiritual analogy to, being in the dark and discovering that Jesus is risen or whatever. It was like
Mhm.
very practical, beautiful, applicable to everyday life. And I
Yeah.
was like, I might come back to church
Next Easter.
next Easter. Yeah, most likely. But
Yeah.
it was lovely.
Yeah. I love that for you. I think, religion and spirituality are so different. And
Yes.
and oftentimes when I'm doing an assessment with my clients and I'll ask if they have any spiritual
Yeah.
connection or any rituals, they're like, I grew up Catholic, but I don't practice anymore. And
Yeah.
then being able to use that opportunity to educate. So
Yeah.
when you were saying that, it's like, yeah, we know what church used to look
We
like
know what it,
growing up
yeah,
in the Catholic
exactly.
Church, and it looks different in some churches today.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, helps ignite people's spirituality.
Truth. One thing that hasn't changed,
What?
cantors.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a hot second where I was like, I'm going to come back to church. I'm going to start singing because this woman sucks. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But there was a hot second when I considered it.
No.
That was going to be my new career. And then they changed the song on me. But it's funny because my grandma, we were, this is my grandma who could not carry a tune. Like we always had a joke when it was happy birthday, she would be like, happy birthday to you, And it wasn't until years later that she said, Megan, I think she was telling me a story about when she was in chorus and she was like, and this is, by the way, a horrid Irish accent, but she was like, I think she put me in the back in chorus and she's like, I think I might be tone deaf. And I was like, huh, you think so? But every time we'd be at church, she'd have her thing and she would be like, she'd hear the song and she'd be like, And she'd start humming and sing, and then she'd get it out and she'd be like, no, like every single time they changed the words on her. Like she knew this song perfect. And then, but that's 100% how I felt at that mass. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to put on a show for my in-laws. Yeah. You know, I've completely gotten off topic.
Church,
I'm in an
Easter,
Irish church. See?
spirituality, rituals.
Okay.
What? What?
Let's talk about this.
What?
So, when you use it as a tool to talk about spirituality and religion,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Tell me.
No, I'm serious.
Well, spirituality can just be how you connect with something bigger than yourself
Yes. Yes.
and what you perceive as God or nature or a higher power or whatever it might be that is outside of yourself. Where I describe religion as something that was maybe taught to you
Mhm.
and something that you practice in terms of maybe the way you grew up in your family of origin, and it was a religion that was passed down to you, and
Yeah.
you didn't really think about it. You just did what you were told. And some people, religion works great for, and they've, continue that historical family generation of passing on
Structure.
Catholicism or whatever it might be. But oftentimes I hear from clients, especially, that they felt a disconnect in their religion.
Mhm.
Most oftentimes it is Catholicism
Mhm.
that can be punishing and shaming and blaming and
Yeah.
this like God that is keeping a scorecard
Yeah.
of how you're doing in life.
Like an authoritarian
Yes.
versus like a team player? Yeah, I think religion to me is just like structure around a concept, whereas spirituality is heart heart motivated, like a heart motivated journey towards something higher than self that you have to humble self to.
That's why you're an intuitive, because that's beautiful and so right on.
Yeah, does I mean it's
That's yeah.
and then you can find it in both. There are
Sure.
people,
Yeah.
rare,
Yeah.
it's rare, but there are people who use the tenets of the structure of religion to free themselves up to a heart forward place and be humble. But that's not always how it's taught,
Right.
unfortunately. And I think that's why I was excited about the way that mass, because it's like that priest got it.
Hmm.
He was progressive. And this is again off topic, but whatever. My son, and this is I don't know, this is sort of related but not, but has been getting in trouble. He said something terrible about someone at school, and that's not acceptable, whatever.
Hmm.
And he usually loves school, but he started saying, because he got in trouble, he started saying that he hated school. And I said, why do you hate school? And he goes, because there's too many rules and too many snitches. I was like, when did you join the mafia? But I don't know why, but I feel like that to me is religion.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. You have to show up in a way that is anything off kilter is wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, every institution needs some kind of rules, but I'm like, is the priest keeping track or like what?
Yeah.
Just, it didn't feel to me very fluid, where
Yeah.
spirituality feels very fluid to
Yes.
me.
Yes. Agreed. These are hard hitting questions I'm giving you.
Hey,
Hard
we're
hitting.
just we're just going with the flow.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that intuition or spirit or spirituality. Somehow, I feel weird about the word spirit. I don't know why. I don't know why it hits me weird, but it does. Maybe because it reminds me of like I hear it used a lot um, by what I coin is not a technical term, but like passive aggressive yogis.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
I hear the word spirit used a lot in that vein.
Uh-huh.
And so it's like using spirituality like another, because as a kid, this was a bragging point I had as a kid. I was kicked out of every religion class except for one
Hmm.
in high school because I was like, well, if you don't know the answer, why are you testing me?
Hmm.
So I wonder why my kid has ADHD. Anyway, so oh God. I mean, I'm telling you, perimenopause and ADHD do not go well with me. What was I saying?
I don't know. I'm
No
not
one
in your
knows.
brain.
No one What is this the problem? Kicked out of every religion class.
Your son getting in trouble at school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Oh my God.
That's okay.
It's
What's
gone.
what,
Nope. It almost came back. Something about supportive energy and wanting to like not feel the shame. And it is circling back to ADHD. And it is circling back to sobriety. There we go. I found it. Done. So
hmm
the it's like with the external from religion and for someone who has ADHD who's already naturally and a Capricorn, very gifted at self-flagellation.
hmm
Religion never spoke to me in that way because I was like, you're using a shield to protect your shitty behavior, the shield of religion to say, I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, or I'm a whatever, but you have this shitty behavior behind it,
hmm
and
hmm
that's how you're protecting your crappy deeds.
Yeah.
And so I saw through that as a kid. That's where I was going with this. And it never felt supportive to me. And so with or I believe the energy of quote unquote spirit is and lives. And I do believe that it's playful and fun and
hmm
joyous and fluid
And forgiving.
and forgiving.
hmm
Also, like I have the saying, remember to laugh, you're always on your path. Because even a bruised knee is part of the bigger, trajectory of learning and growing. And it's all perfect in its imperfection, you know?
Yeah. And if we're going to root of religion, I mean, we're all imperfect.
Mhm.
We all make mistakes. We're all sinners, So it was like mixed messaging. If
Yes.
that's true,
Yeah.
then why is my behavior so shamed? I thought
Yeah.
I'm allowed to or supposed to make mistakes. I guess it depends on who's teaching it too, because I can't
Yes. That is true.
categorize as all bad or all good, right? Like there were some good teachers I had along the way
Yes.
that took a different approach. I mean, I taught religion at a Catholic school. I'd like to think that, yeah, when we lived in Santa Monica.
Stop it.
Yeah, but I took a very spiritual approach that was also teaching them about meditation and
Yeah.
and creative writing, but then also prayer and some of the doctrine and things like that, leaving it up to interpretation
Yeah.
rather than you have to follow this and memorize this,
Yes.
do this.
Yeah. Because it's not math,
Right.
or
Mhm.
you know,
Right.
language. It's a language in a sense, but it's
Mhm.
not it's more divinatory. It's more, connecting to your spirit, which is not your brain center. It's your heart center.
Mhm.
Yeah. And taking that out of the mix clears you up, back for circling back to the sobriety is that clearing the people, places, things out of the way so that you can hear better, to that intuition,
Mhm.
is like to me is a choice, that I make. And I feel like now for if we're, now there's more opportunities for you to enjoy the social atmosphere and camaraderie with a fake drink,
Mhm.
that tastes okay.
Mhm.
And you can still perform in the ritual of, socializing, how people
Mhm.
socialize now,
Mhm.
without having to feel shitty about yourself,
Right. Right.
you know?
And as you mentioned, I mean, so much of it was the aftermath. Like, it wasn't that I was drinking every day and I was drunk and blacked out that I don't remember anything. It was, I mean, that happened too, but it was more of for me with young kids, like you were talking about, not wanting to get up, not wanting to do things with them because I was so hungover and my anxiety would be through the roof. And it was days of that until I started to feel better. And then I'd start to feel better. And then I'd start to drink again. And then it would start the cycle all over again. So it
Yeah.
wasn't just the drinking, it was the entire ritual around it
Yeah.
and what happened after.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so Gray Area, the film, based on your book Myself, is about gray area drinking, which you
Mhm.
spoken to a lot. Do you want to just kind of define that real quick?
Yeah,
'Cause that's
sure.
kind of fair, feel where I feel I landed too.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, I think, growing up in the bar industry and certainly in my clinical training as a social worker, it was like you either had a problem or you didn't. So
Yes.
you could either drink with not a whole lot of consequences and you could drink as much as you wanted if there weren't negative consequences, but you
Right.
better stop drinking if you get a DUI or lose your job or
Right.
your spouse leaves you, these kind of grandiose consequences
Yeah.
of drinking behavior. And the way that I look at it today and try to educate people is that alcohol use is along a spectrum. And so you don't have to have all these qualifiers of negative things happening to make a decision to stop drinking. You could recognize that maybe alcohol isn't working in your life so well. And you might be in the middle. You might not even qualify for alcohol abuse disorder or alcohol use disorder with,
Mhm.
dependence or abuse. It's Hey,
This isn't
there's
serving me.
reason to say that again.
I was saying this isn't serving me now.
Yeah, it's not serving me well. It doesn't make me feel good. I'm not the best version of myself. It's not good for my mental health. Oh, I don't exercise or eat right when I'm drinking,
Mhm.
and using it as a whole health perspective.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. Like I thought about it like I would have a glass of wine. There's two things. I'd have a glass of wine to like unwind, because I was
Mhm,
so stressed out,
mhm.
just in general with
Yeah,
kids when they're
life.
young.
Mhm,
And and I would just like, and then also like going through perimenopause, not knowing that I was, it's like all this, there's all this stuff happening. And then so I would have one to relax, and then I'd find myself more tense,
mm,
and I was like, wait, this isn't doing what I set out for it to do. And there was one time when I was sitting down with my kids and I had a glass of wine with dinner. And I wasn't, like you said, I wasn't drinking every day or I wasn't drinking all the time or a ton
mhm,
even. But my daughter, who was like the sweetest thing in the world, was like, I think the wine had spilled and I snapped. I kind of got angry.
mhm.
And she said in the most sweet, gentle way, she was like, "You really like your wine, huh?" I was like, "Ouch." And that was also part of, so when like anyone asks me why I quit, it's always
Yeah,
like there's no one reason, and it doesn't have to be like you're saying.
right.
I mean, there's a million reasons, you
Mhm.
know?
And I hope the why is becoming less of a curiosity for people
Yeah.
than I just choose not to.
Well, see, that's
But
what
it
I'm saying. I
Yeah.
I choose not to. You know what I
Mhm,
mean?
mhm,
And I know some people who there are some systems of support for people who decide to be sober
mhm,
that focus on the drinking period part. But to me, that's always, and I'm sure you have an opinion on this, but like is always like a symptom, not the
mhm.
cause.
Yeah.
And so if I talk about it, like it's not that I had to, it's
Mhm,
that I chose to.
mhm,
Like I'm choosing the better version of myself. I'm choosing
mhm.
to be clear and to deal with stuff head on and not hide from it, even if it's gnarly. I mean, I can, still Netflix and binge, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and it's
there's
brave too, because I mean, societally, we live in, like you said, you didn't mind being not in the cool club. Those weren't your words exactly, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
like
but
you
yeah,
didn't you were okay being different at the end of the day and embracing that. And it's like that's really hard to do when everybody around us is always drinking.
it is hard to do, and it is, and I'm sure you had this, and I know I have because there are times in the past where I had stopped drinking, and then I went back, and then
Yep.
I'd stopped. I mean, we all, you know what I'm saying. And even now, I'm not going to say I've stopped forever. I'm just choosing not to because I like this version of myself.
Hmm.
So I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I just know that this is the version I like of myself, and I like the way I'm making decisions now better. But when you do that, you become a mirror
Hmm.
for
Absolutely.
other people's lack of courage.
Hmm.
And
Or
then
their own
there's,
assessment of, well,
of
if she stopped drinking,
what does she think of me?
or did I drink as bad as her or
Right.
as much?
Yes.
Yes.
And then you find yourself in the corner of a room where someone's like, I don't drink as much because like my mom and she had a real problem. And then you're just like, I didn't ask for all that.
Hmm.
Like they start telling you about how much they drink and when and how, and
Yes.
it
Yes.
becomes a confessional.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think it's less about the alcohol and more about the choosing to swim upstream,
Hmm.
that people feel they need to come to confessional for.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why and maybe it goes back to religion again, that we're all kind of taught to swim upstream together or not swim upstream together, swim downstream
Hmm.
and not challenge and swim up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And part of that is listening to your intuition, you
Right.
know?
Right. Right. Because if I didn't, everybody around me was telling me, you don't have a problem.
Same.
Like, you don't have to stop drinking. You're too hard on yourself.
Yep.
You're so extreme.
Yep.
You're so dramatic.
Yep.
But like something was telling me, we're done.
Yeah. I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for that first year, I got caught up in like am I not?
Right.
Was it bad? Like, and then it grew with that and feeling less that I had to educate people about my decision as to why I didn't drink or
Yeah.
have people. I was looking for people to say, oh, it's okay. Yeah, you should have stopped drinking.
Yeah.
That would have made it a
Right.
little
That would
easier.
have made it easier, right? You were a hot fucking mess.
Yeah, right. Well, thank goodness you don't drink anymore.
Right. I know, but they don't. And then you're
No,
like, wait, who's crazy? Me or
right, right. Hmm.
but it's like we're not trained to make those decisions for ourselves. We're not trained to listen to our intuitive, navigational source.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and when you're born with a very strong one,
Hmm.
as you are, there comes a point when you just can't not listen to it anymore. Like it becomes more
Absolutely.
challenging in life to not listen to your navigational system than it is to listen to it.
Yeah.
Wait, you know,
No. Yeah, then to
right?
listen, you gotta,
Yeah, you have to listen to
you
it.
have to,
Yeah.
because it's too hard to pretend it's not there and
Yeah.
appease what the norm is.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
see.
brave to say.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
hard to be
listen to
brave.
that spirit that's guiding me.
Yeah.
Then everyone thinks I'm even weirder.
Yeah. But yes, good. Although ironically, I've been telling my dad, I'm like, oh, honey, you're being so weird. Stop being so weird. But then I was like, I can't tell her to stop being weird. I'm giving her a wonderful example.
I want to be just like you, Mom.
But Mom, you're so weird.
Uh-huh.
I need to be like you. Um, yeah. So talk to me, Goose. Besides all over our television sets, where
Hmm.
can we find you and how can people work with you if they want to, or find your book or learn more about you? Just tell me.
Yeah, so my website is the easiest place. It
Yeah.
has, updated TV segments on mental health and wellness. You can buy my book off Amazon on my website. You can work with me privately. I'm a psychotherapist, so I would say majority of my caseload right now is women who are looking at how alcohol plays a role in their
Mhm.
life and trying to make adjustments. And my website is Kelley, and I spell my name Kitley, Kitley.com.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
love you.
I love you too.
We need to play. We need to go have like a oh my God, I'm off coffee too. I'm trying to be the
I
most
don't trust people who give up the coffee, okay? That is like my one vice.
well,
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
stop. I'm doing decaf.
Good for you.
Well, I had to because I started the ADHD medicine, which by the way, I don't know what difference it's making because I
You
started
don't?
pretty hard ADHD.
Mhm.
Except for the fact, and I'm going off on a tangent again, obviously, but don't have as much trouble getting things done. Like those voices in my head that kind of stop
Mhm.
me, that are attached to emotions that bring me down, and then I
Mhm.
can't move forward.
Mhm.
That has seemed to subsided. Because I thought I was going to be like, all of a sudden I was going to be like a professor who had a very linear conversation with people and never strayed, and I'm like, that is not happening.
Yeah. You're still you.
I'm still me. Like, I'm
Yeah.
still like
It's just a
juggling
little
12.
quieter.
Yes. It's just, I could just get stuff done
Yeah.
while juggling all the conversation. But anyway, and it was too much with the coffee and
Yeah.
perimenopause.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a lot of things going on at this
Uh,
age.
yeah, I know I miss coffee. I still have like a coffee-esque ritual,
Good.
but
I mean, it's kind of like a mocktail. It is. It is the
yes,
ritual of holding something warm and sipping
yes.
and yeah.
Yes, doing mushroom coffee.
Oh, yes. Tried
Mhm.
that.
And some decaf, instant,
Mhm.
which is awful, honestly.
Yeah.
All right. I love you.
Love you too.
And let's have a coffee on coffee soon.
Or a Buddha practice down the street.
Let's do
When do you do that? Sunday at what
Yeah, Sunday,
time?
10 to 11:15. It's great.
And you bring your kids?
Yes, because they go and they love it, which
Yeah.
is what I love
I
about it.
brought
Like
my
they
kids when they
actually
were
want
really
it.
little. Yeah.
Yeah. They go and they do like they do a little meditation and a little learning, and then
Yeah.
they make a craft based on whatever they were learning.
I love it. Oh
I
my
know.
gosh.
And they have this jar of sand and water in the middle of the table that at the beginning of the class, they shake it up
Mhm.
so it gets all muddy and mucky.
Mhm.
And then by the end of the class, it is separated into clear water and sand.
Oh,
How beautiful is that as a
so
representation of
cool.
the mind?
Yeah.
Like when you calm down and
Yeah.
your mind becomes clear.
Yeah. Very cool.
Are we not pulling things together here? Just stringing it up right at the end.
Big red bow.
Pen for info.
And scene.
And scene. Okay.